So Ted Cruz was on Face the Nation Sunday to talk about President Obama's upcoming State of the Union speech. Well, this will be good. Now, in the course of that interview, Ted Cruz managed to hit pretty much all the different talking points from the Republicans. That would be IRS, Benghazi, and Obamacare. Oh, lovely. Check out this clip from this from his appearance on Face the Nation. You will be amused.
Senator, thank you for coming. You have already released a list of issues you want the president to address in his State of the Union speech, including you want a new investigation into the Benghazi controversy and into the IRS. You want him to admit that his economic program has failed, that it was a mistake to pass Obamacare on a party line vote. Senator, that sounds like you want a confession, not a speech.
Yep, confession, not a speech. You see that though? Well, let's look into let's look into Benghazi just a little bit more, as if our investigation hasn't already wasted enough time and money. Did you see what they're doing? They're politicizing the deaths of 4 people in Benghazi, including our ambassador. And they just keep on harping on it. There's no evidence of a conspiracy. But, of course, that does not stop people like Darrell Issa and the Republicans from continuing to harp on Benghazi. Well, what about the IRS? Oh, right, the IRS. That was a Bush appointee, actually. Did you know that? There was a Bush appointee that in the IRS, and he was the one that actually looked, he was a Republican, and he looked into both liberal and conservative groups. Which, by the way, all the conservative groups that were screened, none of them were stopped. But there was one group that was. That was a Democratic group, a liberal group. Wow, what a conspiracy. That actually helped Republicans. Conspiracy. All right, so what do they got him on? I know. Obamacare. Passed it by a party line vote. We got you. We got you, Democrats. We got you. As if they haven't. The Republicans have never done that before. Really? Now, Ted Cruz actually does go and mention some important points that I do think we should focus on, especially in this State of the Union speech. That's, of course, the low labor participation rate. I mean, that is a problem. We do have a low labor participation rate. We've got a lot of people out of jobs who are looking for jobs. We've also got income inequality, jobs and economic growth. You know, those are pretty much all related, by the way, to income inequality. But what he doesn't mention is how he and the Republican Party have pretty much blocked all or most initiatives to actually try and do something about those things, which even though some of those initiatives are undoubtedly sort of weak sauce, at least it would have helped the situation. And, of course, they would block things like the minimum wage and even at the state level, blocking the expansion of Medicaid, which would help millions of people. So, speaking of course, the ACA, Bob Schieffer actually brought up the shutdown over the ACA. Now, check this out.
Let me ask you this. You became a celebrity when you led the drive to shut down the government over Obamacare. But afterward, your fellow Republicans said you led them over a cliff. Can you conceive of any situation in which you would do that again, try to shut down the government in exchange or in demand for some action by the president?
Well, Bob, with all due respect, I don't agree with the premise of your question. Throughout the government shutdown, I opposed a government shutdown. I said we shouldn't shut the government down. I think it was a mistake that President Obama and the Democrats shut the government down.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't my fault. I didn't want to shut the government down. I wanted to keep it open. No, it's President Obama. It's all Obama's fault. Of course. It wasn't me. But of course I don't think that Bob Schieffer was exactly buying that little explanation from Ted Cruz on his answer, and he continues to press him.
It's fall.
All right, let me go back to one thing, and the question I asked you was, would you ever conceive of threatening to shut down the government again?
Well, as I said, I didn't threaten to shut down the government the last time. I don't think we should ever shut down the government. I repeatedly voted to fund the federal government.
Senator, if you didn't threaten to shut down the government, who was it that did? I mean, but we'll go on to something else.
It was Harry Reid and President Obama. But Bob, look, I understand.
It was Harry Reid and President Obama, of course. All right, well, it's pretty obvious that obviously Ted Cruz had absolutely no intention to shut down the government. Well, of course not.
62 days from now, on September 30th, the continuing resolution expires, which funds the federal government. Now, I have publicly stated, along with Senator Mike Lee and Senator Marco Rubio and a number of others, that under no circumstances will I support a continuing resolution that funds even 1 penny of Obamacare. In order to win this fight, we need to get 41 Republicans in the Senate to make the same commitment, or we need 218 Republicans in the House. What I think should happen, I think the House of Representatives should pass a continuing resolution that funds the entirety of the federal government, every aspect of the federal government, except and that explicitly prohibits any funding going to Obamacare, that picks up the language on the legislation I've admitted to defund Obamacare and attaches it to the continuing resolution.
Oops. There was Ted Cruz actually outlining his plan to either have President Obama defund his signature resolution, which he absolutely knew that wouldn't happen, or else he would shut down the government. Well, okay, so maybe you're thinking, well, now, obviously, after this whole thing, Cruz learned his lesson, right? He's about shutting down the government, and now he's obviously feeling bad about it. Maybe going back a little?
But if you read the New York Times, they will tell you that this battle accomplished nothing. Let me tell you, I think collectively we accomplished a great deal.
We accomplished a lot. Really. What did you accomplish with this government shutdown, Ted? Pretty much nothing. Your party is down the shitter when it comes to approval ratings, and you wasted about $24 billion on shutting down the government for nothing? And now you're trying to rewrite history about it? Saying, no, I was never for shutting down the government. Never. This guy lives in an alternate reality. He's not on this planet. He's not here with you and me. Look, here's what Ted Cruz is. Okay, Ted Cruz is an opportunist above all. Well, he's a politician. But he's made millions and millions of dollars off this shutdown. And now, of course, like I mentioned, he's trying to rewrite history. Say, no, I was totally against the shutdown, except for when I was for it. Perhaps he thought, or perhaps he forgot that we have these things called video cameras, where we can record everything that you say and play it back. Maybe he forgot about that. If you're a constituent of Ted Cruz and you think this guy cares about you, you need to wake up. Because he does not. He does not care about you. He cares about his own political career, like most politicians. And he cares about the money. And as soon as you guys realize that and stop backing candidates who say that they're the change candidate, and I know it's ironic because guess who was also the change candidate? As soon as you realize that they're all politicians out in a corrupt system, the better off Americans are going to be, and America is going to be. Because then we can actually do something about it.